Our special guest on this particular video is truly one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time, and that's Nolan Richardson. And then from my perspective, Nolan, I see you as an oral historian, a preacher, a teacher, a prophet. I had a chance to read your book, 40 Minutes of Hell, and that allowed me to say you're qualified to be a prophet, because many of the things that you talked about in that book have come to reality. And in a real sense, you've been a social activist in your own manner, in your own style. But more than anything, you've been a great friend for me, and a great friend for the game, and a great friend for coaches and that. And I think our viewers will be utterly fascinated with the life that you've led. I learned so much about you in reading the book, 40 Minutes of Hell. I put it up on my website and recommended it long before this interview. And I would say to anyone that's watching this video, you need to go out and get this book. And if you want to chronicle someone who led an absolutely incredible life, then you need to read the book, 40 Minutes of Hell, about Nolan Richardson. So with that said, Nolan, let's go back to the early origin of Nolan Richardson as a young person. Your mom dies, she's 21 years old, and now it leaves you and your sister, two sisters, to live with your grandma in El Paso, Texas. What was life like in those early years, Nolan, for you and your two sisters, without your mom and your grandma raised you? What were those early years like?
Well, they were. First of all, thanks a lot. I appreciate what you said. You truly are one of the closest friends of mine in this profession. And I was very honored that you were able to sit here and visit and talk with me. But following your career also was an amazing part for me. So, you pick up a lot of things from different people. Matter of fact, and some of the things that I talk about, a lot of the stuff that you had done over the years, I'd taken some of your information and put it with mine. And I never invented anything, but I can copy my butt off. So
we both share.
You're sharing information. When we were growing up, my grandmother, of course, my dad wasn't around. He tried to be a boxer. This is what I was told in my early years. That he had drinking problems, and so he passed away at the age of 39, and I was about 11 years of age at the time, but we never saw him. My grandmother came to California to pick us up. It's amazing. My baby sister, was 6 months old when my mom died, and she was born there in Los Angeles. At the age of 3 and 6 months, and my sister 5, my grandmother, we got on a train and brought us back to El Paso, Texas.
So you were born in Los Angeles, no?
No, I was there. It's amazing. I was born December 27th, and so they were there. They were visiting for the Christmas.
Oh, okay.
And all of a sudden, bingo, and then of course I go back home and she has the other baby. But no, we would have probably been Californians if I had gone back home, but it didn't happen that way. The part of my grandmother, which to me has been the most incredible story there is, she had 11 kids.
Oh my God. She raised 11 kids.
She raised 11 kids of her own. She had six boys and 5 girls. And at the time she got us, there was about 4 or 5 of them still at home there with her, and then along with the 3 of her son's kids. My grandmother worked 2 jobs. She worked at one place that I used to wait on the corners to pick her up at nights when she got off from work, called Hardy's Chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to give her all the leftovers of the chicken that they didn't use. And I'd be the first one to pick her up at the ramp. So on the way home, I'd have my meal, eat chicken with her. But she was a very strong person. I remember growing up, they had the highway came through and took her house, and we used to live in maybe what we'd call the black neighborhood, close to the school that all the black kids went to, called Douglas. And the highway took her home, and she was able to buy another house over in the Mexican part of town. And that's how I got transported and learned how to speak the language, because we were probably around 4 or 5 years of age when that happened. The ward that we lived in was called El Pojido, and El Pojido is, you didn't come through there at nights. You didn't come through there at nights, gangs and the fights, but it was amazing. I was never threatened living in that neighborhood as growing up. But like I said, the thing that was so wonderful about Granny was that we called her Old Mama. Most people had names for their grandparents. Ours was Old Mama and Old Papa. My grandfather was alive at the time when we went there. Of course, by the time I turned 10 years of age, he passed away. So she actually, from that point on, was the pillow of raising her son's kids and working. And times got tough. We were welfare kids at times. There was many Christmas I didn't know. It just like another day. We didn't really receive very much, but she gave whatever she had. And I think those are the things that I used to. As I grew up, it wasn't something that lingered on me. I used to often wonder if like some of my cousins who had a parent in the house and who got great things and great gifts at Christmas time or at Easter or at any time, we just didn't have. But she did the best she could for what she could do for us. We had one uncle that I'll never forget either, who stayed there and worked. And as I grew older, noticing that this guy kind of neglected being a man himself, getting out, spending his time, his whatever little money he had to help the house. I remember at nights, we had this shotgun house, just 3 rooms, 1, 2, 3, That's the way it was. And bathroom. Every night my grandmother was a very religious woman. She made sure that she went to church every Sunday. She would always be praying to make sure she get the house payment. And George, it was $35 a month to make that house payment.
And that's the mortgage payment.
That was the mortgage payment. And there were some months you just couldn't hardly put those ends together. But you kept, never complained, never complained. The greatest other part is that they trusted her. I never forget, there was a little store around from the house that this guy would give us credit, so we could make sure that if things ran out, she could go to him, and some months she couldn't pay him, and he would let it go. Until finally we were able to do well enough to pay. So my growing up as a youngster, that's why I used to tell the players and the kids, you don't know what tough is. You don't know what tough is.
No, your grandma gave you the nickname Sam. What was that about?
That's my grandfather.
I mean, your grandfather gave you. Okay, I thought it was your grandma.
My grandfather said that, all the Sams he knew didn't give a damn. So, it was like, Sam, you could say anything or give him anything. He don't give a damn about, he's gonna be his own person no matter what you say to him. And that was his way of describing who I was, and that nickname just stuck. Sam. I tell you, for many, many years, I thought that was my name. I didn't know my name was Nolan.